You know, every time businesses come to Gary, the city scares them away, or they don't end up putting their business here because there's so many fees attached. And we have always wondered why businesses come here and they don't last. And they be, you know, they're good businesses, you know, that comes here that we need, you know, and they don't last long, you know, and I can understand why they can move to Marvelle or everywhere else and they make it, but the same business that they was gonna put in Gary, they don't last, or they don't even get started, or don't get a permit because it's so many fees attached. And
where is the money going? There's so many fees attached. Where do you think the money is going?
We don't know, because it's sure not going in fixing nothing here, or it's not going towards, you know, demolishing buildings, abandoned buildings and houses. It's not going towards cutting down dead trees. It's not going towards fixing sidewalks. You know, it's not going to what the public, the people of Gary have been asking for the city to do. So we don't know where the money is going. You know, they have all these fees and, you know, and we don't understand. It's not like it's being explained to us, because when they have their little council meetings or whatnot, and you ask certain questions, especially when it's talking about money, it's like they go all the way around the tree but never get to the tree. And you know, I know that it's a lot of citizens here would love to do a lot to Gary, even if they have to come out their pocket. And I know a lot has did a lot to Gary.
So tell me about what you started doing, because you started a little project, a little initiative to try to get the lot next door to your home.
Well, there was a conversation that was going on between me and my previous neighbor, which she has passed away. May she rest in peace. And we were going to a council meeting. That was the first time that I had ever got involved, you know, going to council meetings. And we were talking, and I was telling her, I said, you know, we always complain about the city don't do this, and the mayor's not doing this, or our councilmen, the precinct committee members, you know, are not, leaders are not doing this. I said, but what are we doing? And I said, instead of us being a part of the problem, we can be part of the solution. So I made a decision to go out there on a challenge, you know, and to have a rummy sale. And so I decided to, okay, I can sell some tables. Since this lot next door to me is actually two lots. One was a house which Lincoln Carryout used to own, which some of you all probably remember. And plus he had a Lincoln Carryout, you know. And so...
Who is Lincoln Carryout?
Lincoln Carryout was a daily sandwich place.
Okay.
You know, where they were, it was a good business. I mean, they were making money. I mean...
That was what was next door to you at one time?
Yeah, that was next door. It was he owned the house that was next door to me. And then which is 408 Fillmore, and then next to that was actually the carry-out restaurant. And
so it was a house, and then the restaurant was next to the house.
Right.
All next door to you.
Right.
So you had a lot of traffic, a lot of...
Exactly.
Okay.
And he owned both. And he rented out the house next door. But then there was a garage in back of that. They didn't have access to it because that's where he stored his food and stuff at. You know,
okay. And so you started this project initiative, and you had a little catchy name to it. Tell us what you named the project.
I named it, if I can remember, it was like one neighbor's trash is another neighbor's treasure.
Oh.
You know, so I was thinking if I could bring the community together and get to know some of my new neighbors, because I've been here since 37 years, and I've seen it when it was full, all the houses was, you know, lived in, and then I saw when the houses became abandoned and left abandoned, and I saw them deteriorate. And so I wanted to do something like, maybe if I could do this project, sell some tables, and anybody, they could sell anything they want to, and that would bring the neighbors in the community out, and they could buy whatever they want to, kids, whatever, toys. We had everything. I mean, we had everything.
So the money was used to board up houses and move weeds. And you did tell me in our pre-interview at one time that you were finally able to get the city council after a long period of time to come and tear the house down next door because it had gone into foreclosure.
Yes, I think what happened was the owner, the second owner of Lincoln Carryout and the property, it went into foreclosure for taxes. He wasn't paying the taxes on the built the restaurant nor the house. So he kind of lost the house. So the house was just sitting there. But so after 2, 3, or 4 years, it started deteriorating, and then addicts were living in there.
Oh.
And by me being here alone, and I'm on the corner, and now my house is no longer the third house, it was now the first. So I had all this traffic going up and down, 4th Avenue, in between my house and whatnot. And so I was, trying to get this house tore down. And it took me 3 years, to get it done, and it finally got torn down. And once it got torn down, now I had 2 empty lots next door to me. So after a couple of years, I wasn't doing nothing to the property. I wasn't keeping the property up or anything because it wasn't mine. But then I thought about it, it made my property look bad. So I started paying my lineman to take care of both the lots, to keep the trees that grow up in the empty lot where the restaurant part was. And I had started then, helping, him to keep that. And I had been doing it over 10 years now. And I had been trying to get this property for the last 8 years. But I keep getting the runaround. But then when I looked the property up, it has changed hands twice. And I couldn't understand why these people were able to get the property and I couldn't.
And you've invested your money into it.
Right. I've been taking care of this and still taking care of it. And I just don't understand, why am I being responsible to take care of somebody else's property, and just because they paying taxes on the property, they're not being responsible to take care of the property.
So you feel that this next mayor coming in, or if the current mayor is reelected, or the new mayor that may come in, and I know that you are a supporter of State Senator Eddie Melton,
yes,
running for the next mayor of Gary. Mm-hmm. So you would like it to be set up to where the person that owns the property, or the company, the finance company or bank that owns the property, that not only that they pay taxes, there should be an ordinance to where they also keep the property up, maintain it. Right. There should be a property maintenance ordinance, a property maintenance ordinance.
Right.
Okay.
And so even though they say we have a code enforcement, but they don't do anything. They don't. The one thing about it that I found out living here for the last 37 years, they got too comfortable. And I don't think it's enough city officials care about Gary. Because when you run for elected office, you talk a good game until you get in there. And you may do a couple of things that you promised us that you was going to do, but then you just slowed down and just backed off. Because I always tell people, when you can walk out your front door and see your block looking the same way it was 10, 15, or 20 years ago, something is wrong with that picture. If you have, even if they don't do nothing but cut down a couple of houses on your block, at least you're letting them know you're trying to do something. But how can you keep telling us that pay taxes that you don't never have no money? You don't never have no money. So last year, I tried to get this dead tree cut down in front of my yard because it's tearing up my yard now. I mean, the roots is ran all through my yard. So when the lawnman cuts the grass, it's going to tear up his lawnmower. Because now the roots are so thick and big, they coming out of the ground. So there is no grass in these spots. And
I know you said, to just reiterate, you would like to see the residents get these vacant homes, and they can be torn down and turned into community gardens where the community can be fed. Everyone can work the garden and plant the seeds for the fruits and vegetables, and the community can be fed. So tell me about that initiative that you'd like to see.
Basically, that's what I wanted the empty lots for. To gate it in, to fence it in, and have a nice big garden where the community, can come in and help work the garden, and they can feed, especially if this project had went off at the time I wanted to go, then could you imagine how many people could have been fed from the garden with the food prices and vegetables as high as they are and fruit as high, how it would have saved people money if we had that garden on these 2 lots.
And not only that, if Gary could literally look like a Garden of Eden if the entire city just took all of the vacant spaces and turned it into a garden. It would just look so beautiful.
And if you're not going to hold these, my thing is, my question is I guess I can say, why is it that people can own property and don't have to take care of it? Why do the people that live next door to these properties, we are forced to take care of these empty lots that's next door to us so our property can look good? This is the reason why the value of our house. Now, if my house was worth $50,000 or $60,000, and if I wanted to sell it, it might only be worth $25,000 or $30,000 because I'm living across the street from a wooded area, or next door is wooded, like forest. So who wants to invest and live? If I don't want to live here, what makes you think somebody else wants to live here?
Let's talk about the Genesis Center.
Okay.
The Genesis Center was once a really lively place, and now it's just been trashed. What are your feelings on you being here for 37 years and seeing it go from being this thriving place to deteriorating to where it's at now?
Because that goes back to saying that every time that a building becomes abandoned or not in use anymore, the city of Gary just let it sit. They don't even come up to a plan how they can save it or what kind of use they can get out of it. You put all this money in this big Genesis Center. The only thing that we really had that we can go to and have affairs at, when people have families that died, and they don't have enough room because depending on who that person is, if they're a big celebrity or they're known, just like the mayors and stuff like that.
Yeah, Rudy Clay's funeral was at the Genesis Center.
People, so they can accommodate, as many people as they can. But now that the kids was graduating from out of there, people was getting dances. The Genesis Center was a place to go. In fact, it was the only big place to go to have these big extravagant affairs. Basketball games. Now, they just letting it sitting there, and all that money in that building they put in. But another thing, they didn't maintain it either. And that's another thing the city officials do not do. When they see a building needs fixing, maintenance work, they don't even do it. And this is why these buildings look so old and deteriorate so fast, because they don't fix things as they become broken. They don't invest in anything. Like our schools, Roosevelt, Frable, the libraries. They didn't have to be torn down. Frable School, that's history. Roosevelt School is history.
Well, the Roosevelt High School Committee is actually trying to have it declared as a historical landmark.
Right.
Because I'm in their group on Facebook because I want to stay connected to what's happening here with all the things that I do here in Gary. I think Gary is a special place, and I think that at one time Broadway was you know, probably before I was born.
Right.
And I think that if we could come together, we can make it happen again. I mean, you got the Hard Rock now, and they're building a hotel onto it next year. And my vision for Gary, it'd be like a little Las Vegas. I mean, I think it should be a casino and hotels on every corner, and turn this place into something spectacular. It can happen.
You know, we was looking for that to happen when they brought the boats here, when Trump and Majestic first brought their boats to the Buckingham Harbor. You know, we was looking for great things to happen in Gary. But it's just so much they let go for so long. And it's going to take a while to get Gary back to where it needs to be, because like I said, when something is broken, they don't fix it. You know, so okay, the perfect example, okay, there's the Y on 15th and Avenue. And we was going there for a gym, you know, they do so much. And I started going there, somebody came to me, because I was going to Hobart, you know, to the gym and swimming, taking my aerobic lessons. And one of my classmates / girlfriend, may she rest in peace, her name was Evelyn Reed. She said, she was going down here on 15. She said, why are you going all the way to Hobart to the Y, and we have one right down here at 15? That's why we can't keep them, because everybody always supporting something outside of going to Maryville or Hobart to the, you know, to the Y. And so when she said that to me, I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? She's absolutely right. Here we have a Y right down here. So I started going down there. And after 2 years, the locker room rusting out, the shower started being broken, the swimming pool. And so my question was, if you got schools closed, hear me out on this one. If you got schools closed, why did not they use some of them lockers out of these schools and put them down there at the Y?
That's an excellent idea.
They could have paid some contract, and I'm quite sure maybe they could have did it free, because it's the Y. And you know,
sound like you need to run for office, Miss Barksdale.
No, and I brought that to the manager there when we had a meeting. And she went around, you know, when you throw these kind of questions at people, the directors and stuff like that, they don't answer. They probably know the answer, but they don't answer you. Because I was asking her the same thing. Why don't we take these lockers that these schools are closed, all these schools are closed, and you can't tell me that no one came up with the idea of using the lockers to replace the ones, you know, at the Y. I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. And it's the same way with the showers. Take the showers too. And now, whatever you can, what you call it, recycling, right?
Come on now.
Recycling. So there's a swimming pool. Now the swimming pool is closed down. I can't even go to, now I'm going to end up going right back to Hobart this summer, which I was trying to wait for them. They kept telling me they was remodeling the swimming pool, but it's not yet open. So now people is gone. They out in Hobart. Or in Sherville, going to the gym or doing their waters and rollers. Now look at that. They taking their membership and their money right back into Maryville and to these other cities, and that's money Gary is losing.
That's it. Thank you.